Good evening, my friends. I'm assuming we're live, but we're going to, as always, double check it on our phone just to make sure. I appreciate you guys being here. This evening, we have Ben Hollar from the Hollar Homestead, and we're not going to make any Hollar jokes because he has heard them all. They're not funny, and we're just not gonna do it. Can you hear us, Ben?
Yeah, we can. Hold on. Technical is on our one sec.
That's all. We've been talking for an hour and a half behind the scenes, guys. There we go.
There we go.
All right.
I have the browser open with live chat, and
oh no!
As soon as you went live, it started making noise. It was like, how do I stop it?
Okay.
All right, we're good.
You are fortunate enough to live in a part of the world that is so remote you have bad internet.
Yeah, that is the truth. Fortunate. I don't know if that's quite how I would put it. Some days that we have to run out to actually upload a video to get it on time. It's kind of frustrating, but we've made it work.
I mean, this is a totally random question to start with, but what is are you doing them 5 days a week, Monday through Friday? Is that because when I scrolled through your content, I got dizzy with how many you were uploading. It's incredible.
Back in March last year, we did 5 days a week, just to see if we could do it. 5 days a week it's horrible. Like it's horrible. And so we backed off a day, and we just do, we film Monday through Thursday, and it posts Tuesday through Friday. And we've been able to maintain that. It's doable. Like the income it makes it worth it. So
right.
Like, it's doable. So we'll just keep rolling with it. It's kind of nice to just have the freedom to, if we need a day off, we can take a day off. But I think for us, we just kind of had to start approaching YouTube like a job. That's kind of been the thing that we needed to figure out.
Turn it down. My producer's in the background with her radio turned up, kind of joke, So. I'm hearing me, hearing you, hearing me, and
I thought I could hear.
It's a very good microphone. So this evening we're having night tea. It's a chamomile. It's delightful. But that is our tea for this evening. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we always have tea on Sunday nights because I don't really know why, but it's just something we do, and we've been doing now since we started live streaming. Although I did have one of our subscribers ask me to stop sipping into the microphone. So, as if you guys didn't know, Ben Hollar's Here. We posted this link like 48 hours ago because I was really excited. I've known about their channel for a little while now, as I'm sure most of you have as well, and was fortunate enough to kind of rub shoulders with some folks that you've rubbed shoulders with when we butchered the pig over at Sean the Modern Yeoman's. And of course, Tim Beverly became a subscriber to our channel, and he came down and butchered a pig with me, and he likes to remind me of all the people that he knows that are on YouTube. So he was kind of facilitating our getting together. And then Nate from Kramer Life helped me swap numbers with you, and you and I talked earlier in the week, and I just felt like you were somebody that I could hang out with, and doing a live stream is a good excuse to hang out with somebody.
That is
excuse me. So if you put it on the calendar, then you have to do it. So then you get that opportunity. So I appreciate you taking, an hour or so out of your Sunday. I have a few questions that I think are going to be interesting. Hopefully everybody else does too. But if you're okay with it, once we kind of get through those, my producer, Mrs. Flannel, is in the back. And if you guys have questions, those of you that are watching that you would like, I'm assuming Ben to answer. Most of you probably don't want me to answer for him. Go ahead and post them in the chat, and she's gonna pick a few as she goes, and kind of make a list for us of a few at the end, so that we can get some community feedback as well. So it's not just all of us. If you guys are interested, and if none of you have any questions at all, then we will just end it and go from there. So let's get started. I've written these down as a good host should. And what got you into homesteading to begin with? What was the draw there?
That's kind of I guess a two-part answer for me. So I'm a machinist by trade. I've been a machinist for over a decade now. Yeah, 15 years. Yeah, that's kind of weird to think about.
Getting old.
I got into the industrial trade arena, and with that kind of work, you basically work all the hours that they want you to. If you're a yes man, then you're never home, and if you're a no, then you're first for layoff. So I was a yes man. I worked, 80 hours a week was a normal work week. And a shop I was working for, they sold to a company out in Texas, and it was about a year later, all of the promises of growing our shop turned into, we want out of California, so we're moving everything back to Texas. And so I had the opportunity to either pull up roots and move to Texas with the job, or just take the layoff. I took the layoff because it was like, you know what? Like, mentally, I can't do this kind of schedule anymore. I just needed a break, and I came home. And while I was home, Meg has always been kind of the prepper in the house, I guess would be a good way to put it. And
is she wearing tinfoil right now?
Negatory.
No, not right now. If you guys hear Meg reply to stuff, she's sitting over here in her chair knitting. She did not want to be a part of the live because she's in front of a camera enough.
Yeah, well, I love the addition from the back. It's awesome.
So while I was home, we just basically lived off of the pantry that she had built up, and it was kind of cool. And she had wanted chickens, and I begrudgingly agreed to chickens while I was working. And while I was home, I came to really appreciate those chickens because it was one less thing we had to buy. Well, while I was home, I got to pick my layoff date, and so that coincided with my hunting trip that fall. And so I came home, dropped off my toolbox, loaded up all of my guns and coolers, and went up into the mountains. I came back empty-handed. And on my drive back down from the mountains, the thing that I kept thinking about was, I just wasted money coming up in the woods to come back empty-handed, where I've got a garden full of food and chickens that are laying eggs. That is a sure thing. And so that was kind of where it clicked for me. It was like, I have control of my food source if I'm farming. And so that was really the start of it for me. That was 2015. And it's all kind of spiraled out of control after that.
This is something we've talked about on our channel a little bit, and it sounds like you would probably agree that, the end of the world doesn't have to be the end of the world. It just has to be the end of your world. And that can be anything from a job layoff to a health condition to, it doesn't have to be the EMP that strikes the power grid and the fuel shut off. Your world can change on a dime in a day. And if we're not prepared for those, if we're not resilient for those types of things, it really can wipe you out pretty quick. Something we learned was you can have all the health insurance in the world, right? And this is during COVID, and we've been interested sort of in homesteading, but we did the backyard chickens and the mini garden thing, but never really tried to produce any amount. And when the shelves were empty, they were empty, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it doesn't matter your income, it doesn't matter your insurance status or 401k. No food is no food. So that was kind of our onus to get moving.
There's no wake-up call, no food.
Yeah. Hunger is a good motivator.
That's a powerful motivator.
So how hard was it to go from, having a few backyard chickens and, a little garden to, I don't want to say where you're at now necessarily, but kind of the mindset switch to, and what was maybe the first year like for you trying to actually produce your own food in quantity?
So after that time home, I think I was home for I don't know, 5 months, something like that is how long I stayed home. I like ripped out most of the backyard and put in garden. Basically everything in the entire little suburban backyard was edible. Like everything was edible except the grass. And I started ripping out flower bed in the front yard and started growing food in the front yard. And it finally got to the point where it was like, we can't feed a family of 6 on 1/8 of an acre. Like we were starting to go up. Like I was growing on the fences, in planter boxes, like you name it. Like we were cramming so much food in this little lot. And it finally got to the point where it was like, we need some land. I think it would really benefit us if we could find, even a 1/4 acre. And so we started looking, and we started looking farther and farther away from home. And it was like, okay, we're looking 6 hours away because property is so expensive. Why don't we just do what we've always talked about? Go tour the US. It was always, when we retire, wouldn't it be nice? And we finally had the conversation. It was like, why don't we just leave, go do what we want to do, and not come back? We'll just find a place in whatever state we want. I thought we were going to wind up in Idaho. That was, I pretty much had my heart set on Idaho. Then we made it up there, and it looks just like Southern California. It's high desert, and it was like, I need trees. Like I need a lot more trees. I need green. So, yeah, I don't think I really answered the question.
That's okay. It was an answer. And it's interesting that, where did you end up settling, if you don't mind, which state, or do you?
We came through North Carolina in October, and anyone who is on the east side of the United States, fall is a thing out here, and we fell in love. It was the most beautiful, really, Virginia, North Carolina. It just, this part of the country just sang to us. And so after we had left North Carolina, that was the place that we talked about the most. It was like, let's go back to North Carolina. And it was where we wound up.
Yeah, I appreciate you throwing Virginia in there. Thank you. I moved up from Florida through via Georgia, but it was similar. We had no seasons. 60 degrees was freezing, and otherwise it was 70 to 80 degrees kind of year round. And then you had a couple of last summer days. But yeah, the fall, man, it is something up here. It really is. Of course, then you have cold and gray and wet, but hey, that's fine. Spring's coming. We're getting there.
That's all right. The daffodils are blooming right now, so we're almost there.
It's the hope, right? That's thank God he gave us those, to just right when you think you can't take it anymore, boom, there's some beauty that's popping up already. How many hours a week do you think you spend on the property? Technical difficulties. And see, the only way to know when the technical difficulty is over is to keep talking. Are you still there?
Yeah, it's good now. I didn't catch any of that until you said technical difficulties.
That's okay. I was going to say, how many hours a week do you devote just to trying to make food on the property?
That would depend. That would depend on the season. Yeah, is that both of us? Me personally, okay, how long does it take to butcher a pig? How long does it take to butcher chickens? You figure if we're raising meat birds, those take the longest amount of time day to day, which is really only like 20 minutes a day. A pig, I mean, what's it take to raise a pig? I know some people out here who are raising their pigs in a box in the woods. Like, it doesn't take much to raise a pig. It's not the way I like to raise pigs, but like I've seen some pretty amazing, very covert ways to raise animals. Yeah. Sorry, I saw a comment that made me laugh.
No, it's. You feel free to respond to any comment you want to. By the way, I was just trying to. Yeah, Sean is hilarious. Sean Meekum, one of our subscribers. He's always got the good questions. So the question was, for those of you that missed it, how many IRS agents do you have in your basement? Yeah, my Mrs. Flannel has it written down.
He don't have a basement.
He doesn't have a. They're in the shed, Sean. They're not in the basement. Let's get real.
No.
The helicopters will see him in the basement. Take no prisoners.
We've got pigs.
Don't get us in trouble.
All right, as long as you knock out their teeth and hair, the pigs will take them, and that's a different conversation.
It just got real dark real quick.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, Bobert says they're in the compost. That's my brother's thing. Compost your enemies. I saw your pigs in your video today. I'm not sure how many of them there were, but they look awful cute and happy, and look like some deep litter you had going on there too.
Deep litter is very, very hard to maintain without a roof. Those pens where I've currently got the guinea hog babies, it doesn't matter how much wood chips or it doesn't matter what I put in there, they work it into the mud.
Yep.
I got in there to dig and found about 6 inches down below the mud, I found a layer of wood chips. So it was about 6 inches deep. And somehow just from their agitation, the mud has worked up on top of the wood chips. And now there's like a strata layer. It's just,
jeez.
I don't know if I need to just put them back out in the woods.
Yeah.
But I know I don't like raising pig pen. It's kind of frustrating.
Yeah. We've done the hot wire in the woods thing because we have a lot of smaller trees. We don't really have forest. They logged it about 20 years ago. So we have thousands and thousands of poplars that are like, a foot apart. So it's not good for much else right now, but the pigs are having a grand old time of it. What?
Go
ahead.
I think I caught most of that. If you just see like a blank stare and I'm like staring at the screen, it's because you're
ask the question
real bad
again.
lag on my end.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
What does let's see, does your family like this lifestyle better than what you're doing before? Because I'm assuming on one hand you probably have a lot more freedom in your time, but on the other hand, you gave up a well-paying job and those types of things. So what are some of the pros and cons, if you will?
So you broke up on the last part of that, but I can answer the first part. Generally, I think everybody's a lot happier. Meg was basically a single parent in the grand scheme of things because I was never home. And I've told a lot of people I feel like a stepdad to my own children. Because when we moved everybody into an RV, I was made aware real quick that my relationship with my kids was pretty much non-existent. It's gotten better, but there's a decade missing. I tell people I had twins, and then I had the middle one, and then had the baby, and then I blinked, and the baby was 6 years old. And that's kind of that. I think that was the worst of it. It was about a 6-year span that like I just was not home. But as it is now, we see each other every day. We're all together. We homeschool. So like we're literally all together. We're doing the YouTube thing. And I feel like it's a once in a lifetime opportunity doing what we're doing right now. It's we know how fortunate we are to be in the position we're in.
That's awesome, especially the homeschool part. Not that we're partial, but it is very important to raise your own children, yourselves, and that's why we have kids. Is to not necessarily repopulate the earth because there's a lot of people, but we have them to impart to ourselves and raise them as they should be. And when other people, when they're gone 8 hours a day, I think it's difficult to actually raise your kids because somebody else has the majority of the input into their lives.
Yeah, that's been
what
yeah, I don't know if I want that rabbit hole.
Do it. Let's jump in.
I think that one of the worst things that has happened to our society is the tearing apart of the family and what it is doing to families everywhere. I think that's as much as I'm going to say on that.
No, I agree 100% that the civilization, you know, as we know it, is built upon the nucleus of the family, and when there isn't one, it's only a matter of time. Not that I think our civilization is going to collapse necessarily, but the markers aren't good. Let's just put it that way.
Nope.
Yep. So what do you got going on that might not make it, you know, onto YouTube? And may I say, I've, you know, obviously been speed watching every single one of your videos getting ready for this interview, and your cinematography work and the camera positioning and all that stuff. For those of you that don't try and do, you know, any type of camera work or put together even a cohesive film, you might not even appreciate, you know, you just notice something beautiful and you appreciate, hey, this is beautiful. And, you know, look, there he is, you know, feeding his chickens. And, oh, look, there he is going in and out of his, you know, his feed shed or whatever. And you don't know how long it takes to move the camera here and move the camera there. And then, you know, Meg with her probably hours worth of editing, and then you add the right music, and then there's the right shading. And like your work is, it's beautiful work.
It's lagging really bad. It was lagging so bad.
Your videos are
like a robot.
Your videos are beautiful. Did that come through? Beautiful videos. I really like your videos. Somebody's going to have to type the question for me. I think we lost him. Tell him I said his videos are beautiful. Are you typing? Oh no. He's completely gone. Well, thanks for joining us for our 21-minute live stream. I guess we better, for those of you that don't watch our channel very often or ever, and you're new, we normally read a recipe from the Old Virginia book. We might have to do that while we wait to see if he comes back. Oh no. Oh, the technical difficulties. He might make it back. Our Way Farm says, thank you for hosting this chat. We love it. Genuinely look forward to the notifications of their videos each day. Let's see if I can. There he is. All right. Add to stream. I think we're going to get him back. Let's do it. Hey. All right. So I was actually just.
We'll try this
again. third time's the charm. So we got one more to go and then we'll be good. I was in the middle of praising your cinematography and how beautiful actually all your camera work is, and the effort that goes into, you know, making just a video, let alone video after video after video, and the quality and the camera work and stuff that you guys do, let alone the actual content is very impressive. And I was saying, I don't think people really understand how much work goes into presenting even a 10-minute video that is worth watching with all that stuff. All you know is you just saw something that's nice and there's some music in the background and a few camera angles. But unless you have a camera crew following you around, you have to set up the camera when you walk into the shed, then go get the camera and put it in the shed. And then when you open the door and walk into your shed, then you have to film that part. And then, you know, Meg has to edit all the parts where you're walking in and out. And, you know, you're laughing, but that's, I mean, you know how much is involved. So I as one who is, you know, slamming together videos on this end of things, I really appreciate how much effort and the quality that you guys put out on a daily basis, almost daily basis, 4 out of 5 days. That being said, what doesn't make it onto YouTube that you're into or interested in?
All right. So I think I heard enough of that. We have really bad country internet, so I apologize to everybody. I mean,
it's like the best we can get.
Yeah, it is the best we can get, and it's just a little hotspot. Yeah, stuff that doesn't make it onto YouTube. The woes of country internet. There is actually a lot of our life that we don't share. There's a lot of stuff that,
like our homeschooling for one.
Yeah, our homeschooling, we don't share that. There's a lot of stuff that you can get really beat up over on the internet. And there are some do-gooders that will push and push and push and take things too far. And we found it's a lot easier to just not share some things rather than incur the wrath of someone on the internet. Various friends we have had all sorts of stuff done to them by strangers on the internet that perceive something. And we've just chosen not to show stuff like that. There is other stuff. There's a lot of very personal things that we've kind of decided that we're not sharing. Like we quit sharing everybody's birthdays unless it's like, you know, something that we need to share. Because those are special. Those are for us. Just stuff like that. There's stuff that doesn't make it to the internet.
Hi, Meg.
But for the most part, we do share a lot.
One of my children was very excited that you don't share everything. She's not interested in the overshare. I know you're having trouble hearing me, but we can hear you very well. You're not breaking up, so you might just have to take this and run with it. Let me get back to the questions. And all right, so any tips for people who are thinking about homesteading or starting to homestead that might be in the urban environment like you were, where without the land?
You can hear it on there. Tips for homesteading on a small amount of land. Thank you for sending me rough outline of questions that you're going to ask, because I can just pull up my phone and like, that's the next.
That's question. It. Go for it. I'll just mute my end.
All right. Tips for homesteading on little bits of land. So, you know, when we were traveling across the country, we sold everything. We sold our house. We sold my truck. Like we sold everything. About all I kept was tools that I knew I would need and tools that were irreplaceable. Like I have a metal lathe and a mill and stuff like that. Stuff that honestly has been very, very handy. Few pieces of furniture that were kind of sentimental, but generally everything can be replaced. It was actually one of the conversations we had when we were deciding to leave California. It was, I think I told you this the other day. If we were standing at the curb watching our house burn to the ground, but all of us are safe standing on the curb, what would we do? Well, we'd be thankful that we're all together and alive and unscathed, and we would replace everything and move on with our lives. Well, that was kind of our thinking. It's like, we'll keep, you know, stuff that's going to help us. And anyways, getting sidetracked. I get sidetracked very easily, so I apologize.
No joke, y'all.
Like, it is very, Meg is the best editor because she makes me look very precise and to the point with what I'm trying to say.
Oh, he disappeared again. No. See, that's what happens when you praise your wives on the internet. All the angry people show up and kill your internet. Oh my goodness. I will say that my wife, Mrs. Flannel, does something similar with keeping me focused on task. I will be doing something and I'll be halfway through. Actually, our video that comes out, there he is. He's back. But I said it was going to be the third time. Now I can see him. There he is. Boop. He's back. I told you it was going to be the third time.
So where did it cut
Meg's
out?
Have to.
How much have you heard?
You were talking so sweetly about me. How awesome.
Yes. Meg is wonderful and makes you look good.
Yeah, she really, like, guys, I'm not as smart as she makes me look. Like, you guys need to find you a woman like that. She makes me look good.
He said he's not as smart as his wife makes him look.
He's only saying this because I'm sitting here.
No, I say it
that proves how smart he is. That proves how smart he is.
Exactly.
So I believe the question was homesteading.
Tips for homesteading.
Yeah, tips for homesteading. So when we were traveling, we wanted, the 100 acres at the end of a dead end road in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, it doesn't exist for this kind of price tag. And as we looked, it was like, we're living in an RV. We don't really have any bills, but living costs money. And so we're watching what we land with dwindle down to nothing. And so when we finally found this place, we'd actually had it on our list for months and we'd never went by. It was a mobile home. It was 6 acres. It was like,
Trashy.
It was trash, like absolutely full of trash. Well, when we actually got out here and walked it, it was like 6 acres. We could do a lot with 6 acres. And I think what the breaking point had been was we settled on, 20. And then it was like, well, maybe 10. And then we finally had a conversation when we couldn't find anything. It was like, okay, you realize what we did with 1/8 of an acre? If we did that on 1 acre, we could grow all of the food for our family.
Right. Oh. Tim Beverly thought I just needed eggs by the dozen. That's from the video where I brought you so many eggs. Well, we've lost him again, but it's funny that he mentioned how they have to keep going down in size, because we had a similar experience when we were looking for our property. We wanted 30 to 60 acres, and you want this and you want that. And as it turns out, when you live on a public sector or job with, doesn't pay the most money in the world, you kind of have to make do with what you can find. So that's how we ended up with 15 acres. Man, the Hollars do a lot with 6 though, don't they? That's okay. We'll wait for you. It's worth the wait, guys. Am I right? It's been all right. Yeah. Do you have a list of? I think he wanted to know Ben's channel.
He asked that too.
Okay.
Because there are people.
Ah, all right. Can you hear me now? Hello. There he is. I hear Meg. That's all we need. Just leave the camera off and we'll talk to Meg.
Sorry, Brian. Yeah,
that's okay.
This is the reason we don't do lives. You asked me the other day.
I did.
It was like, because
you
this
warned
happens.
Me. You warned me. But I insisted, and it doesn't always work when I insist on things. But I did have one of my subscribers ask, Bill Elrod asked, what is the purpose of your channel?
That's actually a really good question. Really, because we have asked ourselves this question. It's like, what are we doing? Like, what is the purpose? We're not a how-to channel. Like, we don't really care about being famous. Honestly, we could care less. And if something happens with YouTube and we fade away to nothing, it was fun while it lasted. Did you find a spot where my phone has a couple bars?
No, it's got one, but hopefully
that's works. All right. We'll try that. We're hotspotting my phone now. A lot of times my phone.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Train of thought. Come back. Where was I? Help me out.
Purpose of your channel. Not don't care about fame.
And so we've talked about it. It's like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? And then we'll get the comments or messages or emails from people that, first place that did it for me, the first place that really kind of clued me in, that rather, like, we've shared our story, rather than give up on your marriage and pursue money, fight it out, stick together. And we've shared that. We've shared our struggles. We've shared our story. Well, we went to Baker Creek. They do a festival. It was like spring or something like that, spring or fall. And I had so many people come up to me at this festival, people older than me, people younger than me, married couples, and walk up and say, please don't stop doing what you're doing. Show people that it is completely worth it to fight for your marriage. And people thanked me. And it was so eye-opening. It was like, oh, maybe that's why we're doing this. And so really what we have just continued to do is we're just showing people our life. We're showing that, yes, there are people out there that still kind of have a normal life. I mean, I think what's weird is realizing that we are actually part of the counterculture movement now. Counterculture is, staying married and having kids and, being monogamous. It's just
shocking.
Yeah, shocking. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with the YouTube. It's to encourage people. It's to encourage people to get away from the broken food system, start growing your own food, start raising your own meat, start being better together, all of that. And if we can do it in the quiet way that we do it, it's we'll just show. We're not necessarily telling everybody you need to do. No, this is what we're doing. And we have a lot of people that have followed our lead, and it's been pretty cool to see.
That's the thing, I think, is it's cultural until enough people aren't doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And then it is not, so that's how you change the culture is we have to have a face in some ways on it and put it out there. And I appreciate our channel is somewhat similar in the mission to get people to think kind of outside the box and don't buy what you're being sold in many ways, right? In relationships and in what they say about family, or even all the way down to your food supply. There's a better way to do things, and we can figure it out, and it doesn't have to cost a fortune, and we can decentralize a lot of those things and stop farming out, if you will, not only raising our kids, but raising our own food. And what a better lifestyle it is, to put that effort in. If you don't mind, one of the things Proverbs talks about is the satisfaction of sitting around a table with your family and eating food that you have prepared, with your own hands. And it's one of the few things in life that is not fleeting. The anticipation is not better. When you plan to go on vacation, the thought of going on vacation is almost better than the vacation, right? Because you're not where you normally are, and none of your stuff's there, and people are tired, and somebody's sick, and it's just. But the thought of going on vacation is great, and I think our culture is chasing the thought of vacation as opposed to, if you go out and do a good day's work and you bring home healthy sustenance to your family, and you put the time in with your wife, and you put the time in with your kids, sitting around that dinner table at night, with sustenance is just, there's not much else in the world like it.
Yep. You are spot on.
And of course, the other reason I love your channel is there's few people on YouTube with hair as good as mine, and you're one of the few I've found that has just an immense amount of hair, and it's fantastic. You got the manly beard going on that I'm not allowed to grow, and just there it is.
Yeah, but mine's starting to get kind of thin. Yeah, it's
you all of a sudden you turned into a Catholic painting of Jesus all of a sudden.
There's been a lot of people
Catholic
seeing
Jesus.
me put my hair down. They're like, it looks like Homestead Jesus. It's like,
Homestead Jesus. Oh my gosh. Well, while the internet is still working, do you mind if we bring you some of these fan favorite questions that have been so carefully curated by Mrs. Flannel?
Let's do it.
All right. Oh, I know. She's busy over in the chat. So all of you that are reading our Flannel Farms chat, that is Mrs. Flannel, who is gracing you and us with her presence. If I can read your writing. Let's see. Do we have my glasses? I need mine.
Oh man, you gotta wear glasses.
Ben, I did. Well, I don't need reading glasses. I can read if I want to. But it makes things so much easier. Somebody asked, Dottie, I believe, said, oh, sorry. I also forgot we do an NPR voice here sometimes when we read from the book. So when we're reading here, we have to do it in the appropriate voice. Dottie asks, Ben, when are you adding onto your trailer?
That's actually on the list. We were going to build the deck, and 2021 the wood prices just climbed up until it was going to be like a $60,000 deck, whereas a year prior it was maybe like 10,000, and so it was like, let's hold off, let's just wait. And we just kind of waited and kind of waited and kind of waited, and wood has come down, but now we're starting to go, why don't we turn this single wide into a double wide, or like a single wide now? So now we're playing around with, we've got a pretty good idea. We're going to build the deck, but at the same time, we're going to extend basically right behind me, just past that window right there, towards the back third of the mobile home. We're going to basically double up and make an extra room, make a full-size like walk-in pantry. We're talking about blowing out this door behind me and making a bigger living room space, stuff like that. So it's probably coming pretty soon. I think the thing for me is just like, it rains a lot out here, and tearing holes in my house. Like, I worked hard to seal up all the holes when we got here. It's just, but yeah, that's something that's coming soon.
2-story double wide, if I ever made a country band, was going to be the name of the country band. So for those of you that appreciate the building projects that they do on their channel, don't do it here, but next time that they do a live premiere, or go to their Patreon and send them some support, because if you want to see it built, they probably could use a hand with that. So don't do it here, because that goes to me, and while I appreciate it, I'm not doubling the size of my house anytime soon. So find I believe the Patreon's listed on your about page, isn't it?
Yeah, we had so many people when we got here basically demand some way of helping us. It was like, here you go. But we've never really done videos for Patreon. We've never done anything with the Patreon, but
just send them super thanks when they do their next live or their next premiere, because you can do super chats on premieres and super thanks. So send it to him that way, if no other way, because I'm sure one of his favorite things to do is go onto YouTube and ask for money. That was a joke. You can see him like squirming in his chair. That was not something we talked about before. He's it's one of the reasons I like him and I like them. So giving back to the important things that aren't money. Go ahead.
Public begging is not something we really try to do, but we appreciate it.
I have this massive platform, and if everybody sent us 1 penny, we would be able to add on to our house. What Jamie asks, what breed of pigs do you raise?
So we currently are raising American guinea hogs. They were the first pigs that we got. They were our intro to pig raising. They're a 2-year grow out, so that's kind of hard. Not having a real big pig at the end of 2 years is kind of hard. So what happened was we decided we were going to get out of guinea hogs. We got some mangalitzas, which those are those sheep-looking pigs. And then we ate guinea hog for the first time, and it is the most incredible pork we had ever had. Well, before we completely got out of guinea hogs, it was like, let's hang on to a couple and we'll find a boar. So while we had the mangalitzas and we had some baby guinea hogs that were born here, we got some Hampshire Berkshires, they're a more heritage breed, fast growing, raised those up, and they were good, but they taste like normal pork. And then this past, like, we're currently eating through those 2 mangalitzas right now. We did them in December and January. Mangalitsa meat it lives up to the hype. Mangalitsa is the Wagyu of pork. Yeah, it is. It's really red, really marbled, very interesting flavor. It's very rich meat. It almost seems a shame grinding mangalitsa for ground sausage, but it's good. It's good stuff. Yeah, I think I answered that question.
You did. I had mangalitsa for the first time over with Sean, because that's what his breeds were, and like we butchered it that day, dispatched, butchered, and had sausage that night, and no hang time, no nothing, and there were no complaints. It was very, very good.
It's amazing.
Preference feed from Chris for weaning piglets. Chris is one of our subscribers, and we had piglets a week ago, a week and a half now. Mrs. Flannel. she's deep in the comment section. Week and a half ago were our piglets. We'll go with that. It was not more than 2 weeks, and then tomorrow will be 2 weeks. Thank you. 13 days. And one of our subscribers, Chris, they had piglets just a couple days ago, so he's going to be weaning them, and was wondering if there was a feed or something that you preferred to kind of help the weaning process.
So probably one of our biggest expenses on the homestead is our animal feed. We do not want soy anywhere around us. We don't eat it. We don't allow it in our house, and we keep it out of our animals. Some people don't understand that, but if you actually research the effects of soy on the human body, you'd understand. So because we get organic, soy-free, finding feed, it's pretty expensive. So we choose very carefully where we get feed. There's a couple places. There's New Country Organic, but their prices have doubled in the past 2 years. We're currently getting feed from Kentucky Organics. It's what is it? Kentucky Organic Farm and Feed Inc. Coffee. I've been pretty happy with their feed. They get their protein sources from like sunflower seeds and various other things make up for the lack of soy. Pretty good feed. As far as like feed for weaning, you just have to do your own research, figure out the protein content that you need for weaning your pigs. I believe,
do a specific feed.
We're not.
I did say wiener feed.
You did say wiener feed. We're not particular about the type of feed used for weaning.
Meg, this is a family channel. So yeah. Are you guys, this is a side question just from my own thing. Are you thinking about trying to do maybe feedlots for them, or does the size and space you have not allow for that?
So we played around with it last year in the garden. We grew a couple 100 pounds of sweet potatoes out of a pretty small amount of bed space. Are you familiar with Sean and Beth Dougherty?
No.
Okay, you need to get the Independent Farmstead by Sean and Beth Dougherty.
We need the Independent Farmstead. It's a book. Sean and Beth
Dougherty. Don't ask me to spell it. It's weird spelling.
No, here.
Okay, here. We'll do this one.
Oh,
I got you.
This is the book.
Look at that. Oh, look at that. There's the book. The Independent Farmstead.
So this book basically changed our entire view of homesteading. Way they do it is if you cannot grow enough food and fodder for your animals with your land, you have too many animals. And once like reading that, it kind of made me mad for a little bit. And then it was like, you're right. Like I should be able to feed my farm with my farm. That's the way it used to be. 100 years ago, that's how it used to be.
Yes.
So, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure out how much feed we can grow. We're not gonna be growing acres of wheat. We're not growing acres of corn.
Right.
But you figure we could grow tons of beets and tons of sweet potatoes and tons of carb crops like that, and then it would only take a small amount of corn to supplement for protein, stuff like that. Really interesting book.
We're going to be dabbling when it comes to pig feed in. This is final. What was the mango beets and Tahitian melon squash seem to be stuff that do good in our area and are very easy to harvest because they're very large and they're resistant to things like squash bugs. So we're kind of in a similar boat with you. We've got feed coming in, but we're trying to figure out how not to, because there's only the 5 of us on 15 acres and a lot of it's woods, but we should be able to figure out how to feed our animals, rotational grazing and crops and stuff like that without killing ourselves or having to buy massive diesel implements.
We tried to do the mango worzels this last year, and they don't like me. They won't grow for me. But we grew lots of other things. Yeah, we grew.
You said the mango beets didn't work, or they are.
The thing I had the most luck with were the serpent gourds, cucuzzis. They're like
serpent gourds.
They're probably about that big around, about 5 feet long, 4 or 5 feet long. Pigs love them. They're extremely prolific, and then we can eat them. Everything we grew is like dual purpose. Like we can eat it, and the animals can eat it. So it's like a win-win. The only thing is,
absolutely.
So
the cucuzzi, what?
They don't keep. They are in the gourd factory. So if you try to store them, they actually dry out. And you know what a birdhouse gourd is? They're the same family as that, and so they'll harden. Now you just have this big hollow tube that you thought you were going to feed your pigs.
You can do didgeridoo lessons with it, right? That'd be fun.
Pretty much.
Nate Kramer says hello. Hello, Nate. It was a pleasure to meet you a couple weekends ago.
I haven't been watching the chat, so I've missed a lot of stuff in the chat.
Well, that's why we have this handy dandy antique thing called a notebook that Mrs. Flannel's been scribbling on furiously over there. There's a whole thing of shavings over there.
What are we on?
Where she's been trying to keep. I can't do the beard. It's a baby face. So I can't. I don't think I can be Amish. Let's see. Yeah, we asked about the IRS agents. Bobert wanted to know, what is some advice for starting a YouTube channel?
Depends on what you want out of it. Depends on how far you want to go with it. Meg was the one who started this YouTube channel, and I kind of took it over. And it wasn't like, hey, YouTube's doing good. Let me do that. When we had our daughter, like, it all kind of happened at once. We got here. I'm the one doing all the projects. She got pregnant. She's exhausted. And so it just worked out that I started filming because I'm really the one doing everything. Not to say she's not doing stuff, but you know what I mean.
You're doing all the fun stuff.
I was doing all the fun stuff. She's just, cooking and growing a human.
Yeah, growing a human. This no big deal, bro.
So I just started filming, and then I think what's weird is, like, she was the one doing all of the vlogging. She was the face of our channel, and I'll see comments every now and then, and they're like, "You should really let Meg film. We would like to know more about her." And it's like, sorry, Meg, I stole your vlog. So, if
Nate says she got pregnant and she's exhausted, that's no excuse.
So
he only says that because he's out of throwing distance.
He's smart. He's about 2.5 hours away. Anyways, starting a YouTube, if you want to make an income, it's a grind. Like, it is one heck of a grind. And the way YouTube has structured itself, it's kind of more of you really have to be consistent with posting, I guess. There's a lot of stuff that goes into YouTube and pleasing the algorithm. So I don't know.
I jump in for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I had to calculate, like, our hours for our tax stuff, and it is legitimately 40 hours a week.
Did you guys catch that?
Yeah. So for those of you that didn't hear, Meg said she had to calculate her taxes for YouTube and figured out that they're literally spending 40 hours a week on their channel. Probably more than that some weeks. Yeah.
So
yeah, the algorithm thing is a trick, Bobert, and there is a book on it called The YouTube Algorithm that we just recently read, the YouTube Formula, excuse me. And the guy is an analytics guy, and I don't like analytics at all. I like to take the camera and go out there and just film what I'm doing, and then throw it against the wall kind of thing. And that doesn't work with YouTube anymore. That's not the way it works. The algorithm is designed to keep people on YouTube for as long as possible. So they don't want to watch cookie cutter videos of somebody doing the same thing. They want the next thing down the way. And the AI is very good at figuring out how to keep people online. And the hard thing is, you can't make videos for the AI. You have to make them for humans. But if you make them for the humans, the AI recognizes it. So it's there's a whole scientific element to it that's more than just, hey, I have a good idea and I want to show the world something. So we've just started to delve into that type of research for it, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah. You can get lost in that rabbit.
And you can spend your whole time doing research and never making any videos, or you can spend all your time making videos and never do any research, and neither one of them is good. Like, there's that balance. So yeah, if you're trying to, Bobert says, so quit my job. Got it. Yeah, that's what you heard. That's the find instant success here at YouTube. Make 300 videos, get rich quick. It's in some ways it's almost a lot like the stock market. I think you invest in it and you invest in it and you invest in it and you invest in it, and it doesn't feel like much is happening, but maybe that video that you put out 2 or 3 years ago takes off, and that's sometimes that's all you need. But for the most part, it's investing 7% of your check for the rest of your life, and then all of a sudden 40 years later you have enough to retire, if that system still works, which I don't think it does. But anyways, the analogy is there. Most of us are old and remember when investing in the stock market was a good idea. And the Hernan family asked, do you supplement chicken and pigs with milk to cut feed costs?
We did when we were getting enough milk to have extra. Our cow is over a year into her lactation right now, so we're only getting about a gallon a day. And some days, if she's particularly moody, we do think about just drying her off and just being done. But a gallon a day keeps us in milk. We don't have to buy milk. But when we're getting, 2 or 3 gallons a day, you better believe the chickens and the pigs were getting milk. Everybody's getting milk. Everybody was either getting skim. Everybody was getting, curds, you name it. Any byproduct from that cow was going straight to the animals. And yeah, it does offset your feed if you are careful.
Absolutely. Well, I did promise an hour. I didn't want to keep you too long. So we got roughly 5 minutes left. Not that we have to use all 5 of them, but I did want to give you the opportunity to kind of have the floor if you had anything to add, or if you had any parting thoughts, wisdoms, jokes, if Meg wanted to show us what she was knitting, whatever.
Is that a request?
Is that a request? Does she need to drag?
Well, there were a lot of people on there going, I miss it when Meg the chat was scrolling with, I miss Meg. I miss it when Meg did the channel. Get rid of Homestead Jesus. Where's Meg? So
it's all about Jesus, y'all.
Amen to that.
I'm knitting a baby blanket for a friend. So there you go.
Aww. What type of stitch are you using? Is it a box stitch? Standard stitch?
Knit pearl, knit
Ooh.
pearl.
Where did the moose go?
Hearts on it.
No? Okay.
Moose.
My middle daughter does knitting and crochet, and she's working on a moose, and she was in here showing it to me just a minute ago, like behind the camera, and I was hoping she would bring it back out so I could see it, but she disappeared. So, oh well, I guess you'll have to tune in at a later date to find. I know.
Yeah, we'll have to.
Right.
Thankfully, my wife is very, very pretty, so the kids are all very cute. It worked out pretty well.
That does work out. That's a good quality to have.
Thank God for strong genes, right? Do you have it? Kier, can I see it? They would like to see it. This is her first stuffed animal, is that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
So this is, it's not Bowser. It's a moose. She's
Nice
still working
moose.
on it, but this is her first ever 3D. His wife approves. She's making a baby blanket right now.
It's complete.
It's complete. It is complete. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Thank you.
Awesome. See, like I've had knitting around our whole relationship, and it's just all string to me. And but,
Yeah.
call yarn string, and you're gonna get stabbed. I mean, it's just how it is.
Do you have any thread? No, I don't. Yeah, the only part I ever get pulled into is when it gets into a giant knot, and then it's like, here, can you make this not a knot? He said he gets in trouble if he calls yarn string and string yarn. Yeah, she's crossed her arms. She feels it.
There's one time, like, I needed just like a piece of string. I was trying to do something. I needed to tie something up. And I walked in the house. I was like, Meg, do we have any string? And she's like, no, we don't have any string.
Of course not.
I looked around. I was like, under the bed, in the closet, in the hall closet, in the boys' closet. We don't have any string. And she's like, what are you talking about? No. I was like, she's like, that's yarn. How dare you?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you do the same thing to her when you're like, hey, can you go get the drill out of the barn? And you're thinking like, screw gun drill, and they come back with like a hammer drill, and they're like, what? It's a drill. You asked for a drill. And you're like, that's not. That's ridiculous. What are you doing? But
actually, I don't really have that problem.
We'll make it work.
Meg grew up she grew up in a construction site with her dad and her grandpa. So she knows tools. Like, we've never had problems with her not knowing what a tool is.
I was going to say, you're probably asked for one. She'll bring you the one you actually need, not the one you ask for.
Yes. Yes.
I need a framing hammer. No, you don't. That's got a waffle head on it. Here, you want a smooth face because I don't want to have ripples in the wood. Well, I certainly appreciate it. I'm glad that your hotspot your internet cell phone thing worked better than the hotspot. And I do appreciate you taking some time this evening with us. And it was a pleasure to get to know you more. And I hope we get a chance to do it again sometime in the future.
Hey, I had a blast. I really enjoyed myself. I want to say thank you for having me. This was really fun.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And we go to North Carolina fairly frequently. We Blue Ridge Parkway up in near Spruce Pine is where my family had their traditional vacations. So we might have to look you up. Maybe when I go to Billy's house, I'll give you a ring. We'll come by and build something.
If you come to Billy's house, hit us up. Come on down. We're just down the mountain from
Definitely. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Billy's good people. For those of you that don't know, Billy over at Perma Pastures is an amazing fellow. You have some stuff coming up with him here shortly, don't you? Aren't you doing some stuff, some classes or something? Workshops?
Yes, I'm teaching a how to butcher a pig workshop. And I asked Billy, since he kind of pressured me into doing the class, I was like, hey, you want to come help out? And he was like, sure. Yeah, I'll come. So it's going to be me.
Is that sold out? Where do people find information about that? What's the plan?
Out. It's the people who put on the Farm Where You Live festival. They're the ones hosting this workshop. You can go to farmwhereyoulive.com.
I think that's it.
I think that's where you can find more information. But this particular class is sold out, so it's going to be down in Greer, South Carolina. So I'm looking forward to it. That's in like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
Oh, cool.
So yeah,
Should
it'll
be a
be
good
me,
time.
Billy, a couple other friends. I think Jason from Sow the Land, he's planning on helping me. It'll be fun. It'll be a blast.
Awesome. All right. Well, I hope you have a good week. I appreciate you being here. Keep growing as you grow, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right. See you later.